in Phoenix the other night. Excellent win. They go on I think 17-5 to close the game.
Yep,
Denny
huge game from Denny
Avdia,
Avdia.
just awesome. We talked about it the other day. I just want to say, at the trade deadline, the Blazers had lost 6 games in a row. Were 5 games under 500. I think they were in 10th or 11th. And, there was the opportunity there to sell. They could have traded. I don't think there was a robust market for Jeremy Grant, but they could have just sold him for nothing. They could have traded Drew Holiday. They didn't. There was they were in this period before the new ownership had taken over or whatever. And they play strong basketball down the stretch, win their way over the last week to 10 days of the season into getting to the 7-8 game, then go down to Phoenix. They're behind and come back and win that game on the road. They've really achieved really well. You know what? As I'm watching them win the game, and I'm seeing Dame Lillard standing over there on the bench.
Yeah.
It was about a year ago this week, right, when Dame tore his Achilles. And terrible fortune.
I think it was a couple weeks later because it was during the playoffs, but still.
I thought it was, yeah.
I thought it was game 1 of the playoffs.
Don't make us look stuff
either way, it was right. Well, anyway, right around
roughly
right
a year
now for sure. Yeah.
And obviously that was a terrible turn of events and everything like that. Things have gone, as I'm watching Dame celebrate the team going. I would say things have gone pretty well for Dame Lillard. He gets waived, so he's getting all of his money. Granted, it's spread out over some years.
When he was miserable in Milwaukee, by the way, just
gets to come back to Portland, come back home. They give him a 3-year, $42 million deal.
With a no trade clause.
He gets a no trade clause in the deal. Other than LeBron, the only no trade clause in the league, so that he can't get traded to Milwaukee or wherever again. All right.
Yeah.
So, by the way, he gets all of his money from Milwaukee. That's $42 million over and above what that guarantee was going to be. God bless America. And the Blazers end up having a really good step forward season. And when he comes back next year, he's going to be joining a team that's on the upswing.
Yeah, and they've had an on-ball star emerge. Denny Avdia is an on-ball point forward star. Bontemps, Wendy, I don't have a ballot.
Can I interject just because I have a question specifically about this? So I went through this with Stats Williams, who we're about to talk about in a second, our dear friend. I went through the ballot earlier today. The final outstanding thing on my ballot is the final spot on the 3rd All-NBA team, where I'm trying to decide between.
Yeah. This is tough every year, or many years.
Well, and I will say.
What is going on, everyone? Welcome back. Today we are talking about the Portland Trail Blazers and the San Antonio Spurs. The Blazers have had a remarkable season. They were 5 games under .500 at the trade deadline, but they played strong basketball down the stretch, won their way into the play-in, and then went on the road to beat the Phoenix Suns. They have achieved really well. And now they face the Spurs in the first round. But Brian Windhorst has a simple prediction. The Spurs have Victor Wembanyama. He is by far the best player in the series. Case closed. Let me break it down. The analysts started by discussing the Blazers' turnaround. They were in a position to sell at the trade deadline. They could have traded Jerami Grant. They could have traded Drew Holiday. They did not. They played strong basketball down the stretch, won their way into the play-in, and then went down to Phoenix, were behind, and came back to win that game on the road. Windhorst noted that it was about a year ago that Damian Lillard tore his Achilles. That was a terrible turn of events. But things have gone pretty well for Dame. He got waived, so he is getting all of his money from Milwaukee. He got to come back to Portland, come back home. They gave him a 3-year, $42 million deal with a no-trade clause. Other than LeBron, he is the only player with a no-trade clause in the league. So, he cannot get traded to Milwaukee or wherever again. He gets all of his money from Milwaukee, $42 million. And over and above what that guarantee was going to be. And the Blazers end up having a really good step forward season. When he comes back next year, he is going to be joining a team that is on the upswing. And they have had an on-ball star emerge in Denny Avdija. He is an on-ball point forward star. The analyst also mentioned that Denny Avdija had an All-NBA caliber season. He is one of the best foul drawers in the league. And if he can get Victor Wembanyama in any kind of foul trouble in any games of this series, that dramatically changes the complexion of the game. Then the analyst brought up a hot take from their friend, Stats Williams. Stats declared that the Portland Trail Blazers are going to win this first-round series against the San Antonio Spurs in 6 games. He gave his elevator pitch. First, they have a bunch of very good defensive players. They could throw a lot of different looks at Victor. They have too many camera, a fantastic defender. They have Drew Holiday. They have 2 different bigs, Donovan Clingan and Robert Williams, that they could throw at him. He understands that Donovan Clingan is not hanging with Victor on the perimeter, but they have other different options. Second, they shoot a ton of three-pointers. Not always accurately, but they get up a lot of threes. So, if they get into a series and have 2 or 3 games where they go 20 for 50 from 3, which is very possible, that is a lot of points. And one of the questions about the Spurs going into the playoffs is how real is their three-point shooting. Third, they have a lot of guys they can also throw at the guards. They can sort of neutralize them. And finally, Denny Avdija is one of the best foul drawers in the league. And if he can get Victor in any kind of foul trouble, that dramatically changes the complexion of the game. The host then gave his pitch for why he is picking the Spurs to win. He said, they have Victor Wembanyama. He is by far the best player in this series. That is a good answer. The analyst noted that Wemby did not play against the Blazers this year. He missed all 3 games. He missed the last 2 games they played last year because of the blood clot. He has not actually played against the Blazers since December of 2024. So, it is hard to know what the actual contours of the matchup will look like. The analyst said he is very curious to see how they will defend Wemby because he is a nightmare matchup for Donovan Clingan, who is a really, really good young big, especially on the defensive end. But when Wemby brings bigs out to the perimeter and he is raining threes and then attacking closeouts, they have got to challenge the 3. That is foul trouble waiting to happen. He guessed that Spurs coach Tiago Splitter is going to do something akin to what Joe Mazzulla did in the past against Nikola Jokic and against Victor. He would have Drew Holiday or too many camera on Victor. If it was him, he would do that, and he would put Donovan Clingan on Stephen Castle, and he would dare Stephen to make shots. He may go 6 for 6. That is fine. He would dare him to make shots and show he is going to make shots, and then adjust off of that. Because if you put Donovan Clingan on Victor Wembanyama, that is not going to go well. It is just a really, really tough matchup for a big who is a great defensive anchor but not fleet-footed. Windhorst then pointed out that Victor averaged less than 30 minutes a game this season. They will watch the minutes as they go in the playoffs. Victor averaged more blocks per game than fouls per game. He only averaged 2.4 fouls per game this year. The reason is because Victor's arms are so freaking long that he can block and challenge shots without having to be near the player. He just has to be vertical. He can get blocks. He can challenge a shot from the lane. He can challenge a 3 from the lane. It is crazy, but it is true. So, Denny will look to go into Victor to try to get fouls. He looks for contact every waking second he is on the court. That is actually one of the reasons why Victor could be very effective against Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Victor can defend Shai's get to the elbow and operate without actually having to come in contact with Shai, therefore drawing fouls. There will be ways to counter that. That is part of the game. But that is something to keep an eye on. Victor's great advantage is that he can defend the rim without having to be physical. So, the Blazers have a real CHA. And C. They have a deep roster. They have defensive versatility. They have three-point shooting. They have Denny Avdija, who can draw fouls. But the Spurs have Victor Wembanyama. And as the host said, he is by far the best player in this series. The Blazers have not seen him in over a year. They have no recent tape on how to guard him. And his combination of size, skill, and defensive impact is unlike anything in the NBA. The Spurs are the 2 seed for a reason. The Blazers are the 7 seed for a reason. But upsets happen. And Stats Williams is predicting one. So here is my question to you in the comments. Can the Blazers upset the Spurs? And how many points does Victor Wembanyama average in this series? Let me know. I read every single comment. As always, like, subscribe, hit that bell. We are building something special here. I will see you in the next one.